Charlie Whitehouse is right here. Charlie is a seasoned sage beekeeper, and he's also one of those guys that'll take any kind of shaped container and product and try and turn it into a beehive, okay? And he will try anything, and he's been very, very successful. And he's also a proponent of beekeeping and beekeeping management. So, Charlie, if you want to share some of your stuff.
I want to touch on just basic beekeeping equipment, because we've been talking about beekeepers like you guys are all beekeepers. You know, some of you have never seen a hive. So the basic hive, you guys, when you say beehive and you close your eyes, it might be the bees living in the tree trunk. It might be the old-fashioned warrior hives that are made of wicker. And when they use those, you got to destroy them to get the honey. You basically end up killing all the bees because the honey drips and ruins all the bees. Here in Florida, part of the requirements of being a registered beekeeper is you have to have a beehive with removable frames. And the reason you need removable frames is because there are some problems that the bees encounter through their life that could be an issue for other beekeepers and spread disease. So the frames are inside of these boxes. Take a good look at it. This will be the bottom box. This is a Langstroth type beehive. It's been around since the late 1800s, and it's pretty much become the norm in the United States and other countries as a beehive. There's many other ways to keep bees. Other than this is the standard. You can go purchase this, and it's standardized. And I can buy a bottom box from one supplier, and I can buy a top. So the bottom box will be considered the brood cavity, where the queen is making more bees, bee workers. And then the top area of the hive is separated by a queen excluder. That's what that screen is there. She's bigger than the normal worker bees, and she can't fit up in there. She would love to go up there and lay eggs in that top box as well. She would fill the whole box with brood, and then they would run out of room pretty quick.
Yes, I do.
So you keep her in the bottom where she can raise her young and her brood, and then the worker supply is plenty, and they go out and forage, and they bring back and they store honey, typically in the top, because we're manipulating them, because there's no way for her to lay eggs in the top, so it's only room for honey. The bees will draw a comb on these frames. This is different types of foundation that you can add to the frame, where you can actually put in an empty one with popsicle sticks on the top, and the bees will build all of their own wax on this frame. And since they have sides to it, they'll only attach to this wooden frame. This is called the frame. These are the removable frames. This would be called a deep frame because it fits in the deep box. They have medium frames, which will fit in the shorter box. I think we have a couple here. Let me grab one real quick. Oh, there's one there, short one. Oh, there is. Yeah, sorry. This is the honey super, and as beekeepers, the plastic foundation is more for the commercial operators because they're moving their hives a lot. They're transporting it. If you don't have plastic in here as a structure, the wax is pretty delicate. If it gets hot, turns sideways, or jostled in any way, it can fall down, and then the bees will still live in it. It'll be fine. But as a beekeeper, we won't be able to remove it as easy to do our inspection. So that's the other reason it's good to go in once a month. You don't want to go in every week. You will chase the bees away. Like Dr. Kern says, some bees are more susceptible to being, they don't want to be messed with at all, and you mess with them and they leave. So you don't want to chase them away. So don't go in it any sooner than a week. If you like to be a person that goes in every week, get yourself 2 hives. And you can alternate. You want to mess with this one this Saturday, next Saturday you mess with that one. If you're going to start off in beekeeping, I would recommend 2 hives as a minimum, because if you start to have problems and you're crashing and you want to fix the problems in this hive, you have a hive right next door that you can rob resources from. And since they're on modular frames that are standardized, you can just switch the frames out. Take an empty frame out that has nothing going on. You go to your hive next door. You take a good frame out that's busted with activity and fresh bees ready to hatch. You can put it in that beehive, and it will help prop up the colony and keep it supported. So that's why it's good to have this type of box, is because it's modular and you can interchange components, and you can get more boxes from other beekeepers. I can call somebody. I call John and say, John, can I come over to your yard with a nuke box? So there's another term there. A nucleus box is only half the size of this. This is 10 frames. Is it 10 or 8? 10 frames, which is the standard. This shorter one here is 8 frame, which is trending now more so. Older beekeepers have fat backs, and this is lighter weight and easier to manage. Even people want less work, go to the all mediums. They don't have a deep for their brood. They'll use 2 mediums as the brood container, which is about the same size as the deep, a little bigger, and then they'll put their queen excluder after 2 mediums, which makes the same volume of space. Now the nice thing about that is if you want to make multiple hives and you're into getting more bees, all you got to do is wait till that's busting up with activity, take the top box off, put it somewhere else, leave the bottom box, put an empty one on top of both, and now you have 2. So it's the best way to do a split is when you have the mediums like that and you just separate the 2. You can just make multiple hives like that. I've gone, in 3 years, I've gone from 1 hive to close to 40 hives. I got between 30 and 40. I'm the kind of person that just jumps in and goes crazy and tries all kinds of different stuff. I have hives like this, which are Langstroth, which is what I started with. I didn't know any better. And now I've started building my own hives from pallets. I get pallets and I separate them with a Sawzall that are made out of pine, and I build top bar hives, which is a different way of beekeeping. This top piece is the top bar of the frame. I don't have sides or bottoms to my frames, so it's just a single piece of wood cut from a pallet laid across the hive. The difference is, since I have no sides, I have to build the side wall of the hive on an angle, and the bees won't want to attach to that angle. So it keeps, the bees build themselves the comb. It's more of a natural type of beekeeping. If you see beehives in the wild, they don't build squares. They build like paddle-shaped comb. And in the top bar hive, they're able to do that more naturally. It's long. So for me, I just had back surgery last year, and I've ruined my back, but I'm doing good now, but I'm being good. So if I have top bar hives, I don't have to bend over, and I don't have to pick up heavy things. The biggest thing, I got 3 top bar hives less than a mile from here, just on the other side of the train tracks on that road. And I went in there this morning, and I was able to check 3 hives in like 10 minutes to see what was going on. And there's not so good activity in the 2 closest to the south. The furthest north hive has busting up with activity, but I'm standing back from them right now, and I'm going to let them do what they're going to do. If they collapse, I can borrow from the strong, but right now the strong is not even really strong, super strong, so I won't want to make it weaker by robbing it right now. I'm going to give it time to get established. The way I started those was I had another top bar hive in my house with the same configuration. I made my frames the same size, so when I transport my frames, I can drop it in a deep box and transport it in a standard box because it's the same size.
How do you keep the brood from collapsing?
The queen excluder is doing all that. The queen is
But I mean,
on yours. Oh no, I don't. The bees naturally will put it in a top bar. It's easier, believe it or not. The last 3 or 4 frames closest to the back are going to be honey for insulation and storage. They keep that honey as far in from the entrance as possible to be able to protect it.
okay.
Something coming in there has got to go way to the back to get to that. It's got to get through all those bees. I trick them and I pop up the top. Yeah, so it does get mixed up. And all I do, because I have a top bar hive in my house, and I went into it, and basically what I did was I had drone comb, which was not hatched, and I just cut that off and threw it in a bucket, and then I cut off my honey and put it in a different bucket. And I ate the honey, and I threw away the drone comb. Now, the reason I did that is because varroa mites, which is a pest that bothers bees, and It's like a tick on a dog. It's a tick on a bee. So the mites love the drone because the drone stays capped more, and she can go in there and lay more eggs, and more mites will emerge from a drone than will from a regular capped worker cell. So it's an integrative pest management where it's natural. I'm not putting pesticides. I'm just removing the drone as it's capped. Now the trick to that is you got to get it while it's capped. Because if you put drone, this particular frame, this green one, I don't know if you can tell, other than the color, the size is different. It's a drone comb, a pencil will about fit, a number 2 pencil will almost fit inside the hole of the comb. That's because the drone bees are larger, they're bigger. So this is manipulating the hive to build only specifically drone comb. The queen will come, the workers will build the drone comb as it's needed for the hive, as they're about to split or things are going really good, and that's the only time they build drone. Drone are not around all the time. They're only around when the hive is super strong and it's ready to do a split. Springtime is here. Let's make more bees. We have to send males out to get with those queens for reproduction to pass on the genetics of the hive. All right. So drone serve that purpose. This is made so that we can, as a management practice, we can put this in there, check it. If it's capped, pull it out, scrape it all off, and throw it away. Because we get rid of the mites. But, however, beekeepers need to keep a certain amount of drone within their colony, especially if they're guaranteeing that it's European stock. Because think about this. All European stock queens are great and well, but what if the new queen emerges from the hive and she goes out and gets mated? What is she going to mate with? Drone. There's way more wild feral drone because beekeepers don't like drone because they really don't do anything other than mate with the queen. They don't produce honey. They don't do any work in the hive. They're actually a drain on the hive. So as a beekeeper, drone, bad. It ain't doing nothing. It's just taking up space. But you have to rethink that. As a beekeeper, European stock, you're making drone, send them out there, let them do their work, let them serve their purpose, and move on. Support European hives by producing European drone, and allow them to be produced. The way I achieve this, I am super cheap. I have been able to pay for all of my bee equipment, 40 hives, $100 a piece. I've been able to pay with all that by selling honey. $10 a jar. So a little Christmas money I get, a couple $100, maybe I'll throw that at it. But I haven't gone to the bank. My wife would kill me. She controls all that. So all of my hive equipment, all my jackets, all my smoker, all that stuff I bought with honey money, my replacement stuff. I had to buy the initial jacket up front because there's no honey unless you got bees for a good amount of time. How much honey can you get from a beehive? I didn't understand this. I was purchasing honey from a beekeeper and she would run out. Well, how can you run out of honey if you got bees? What's going on? Squeeze them and get it. I want honey. So honey only comes when the plants are blooming. So the plants don't bloom year round. So the bees follow that cycle of the plants blooming and collecting their honey and storing it in the box. In Florida, we're lucky. You might get 3 different flow. We call it honey flow when the plants are blooming and the bees are bringing it back. You can get 3 different honey blooms, honey flows, seasons in your box. And as a beekeeper in an urban setting, like John said, you probably have palm, but you might have other stuff. Your honey is going to taste different almost every single time you get it because it's different plants and different forage that they're bringing back. You can see if you inspect your top box, you'll have different colors on each frame. Not only will it be different on each year, but it'll be different each frame. They'll collect and they'll put all the honey from one source on one side. Maybe on the other side it's a different source. Or another frame, it's a different source. It's all about how plentiful it is. The bees don't go out and forage and mix things up and get all different plants and just randomly pick nectar wherever they can get it. They look for the same exact plant on that trip out. They keep it in their honey crop and they bring it back and they pass it on to worker bees here, and then the worker bees that are inside the hive bring it back up to the top and deposit it into the wax that's been drawn out on the comb of the frames to leave it there. And then that's nectar. and then that has to be dehydrated, and it gets capped off, and that's when it becomes honey. Honey is just nectar that is at a moisture content of less than 18%. They've dehydrated it enough to be 18% or less, and it won't ferment. It won't go bad. So honey pretty much lasts forever, definitely. So it's really good. We know goodness about honey. But the equipment, back to the equipment. So this will be the top box. Above the queen excluder would be considered anything for honey. A honey super. We call them supers because you can add more to it. You just keep stacking them. Keep adding them. I haven't really been successful with putting, because I like to collect my honey when it's light for my back. I'll open the box and I do my inspection. If I see a honey frame today, I'll grab it. I don't wait for that box to get completely full of honey. So I'll collect little short frames because it's less work on me. I don't want to lift a 100-pound box to carry that around and mess with that. And the same thing I can do is I put it in a new frame. I always have frames with me that are drawn because the way I collect my honey, there's two ways you can collect it. There's probably more than that, but the two ways that I use are there's a scrape method where you put it in a bowl. You just scrape it off and put it in a bowl, and you get all the wax and you get everything. And then you put it in a paint strainer and you squeeze it out, and whatever drips out is what the good stuff is. The rest of it stays in the paint scraper and you give it back to the bees, or you melt it down and make something with that wax. Or you just remove the cappings only, which is the top surface of the wax, and you put it in a machine called a honey spinner. And it's just a giant centrifuge. You just hand crank it and the honey gets slung out. But the good thing about that is you're leaving all the wax there other than the cappings. And the bees, when you put it back, they can just start filling it right back up. They don't have to build out that comb again and go through that process. So anything I can do to make it easier for them to bring me more honey, I want to do.
Do they clean it out? Because I've got a spinner and it makes a really mess. I mean, it keeps the combs intact, but it makes a really big mess. When you put it back, it's still dripping.
Yeah, they'll reuse that right away. Well, the bees are meticulous in their cleaning. And the thing with the hive, if there's any dead bees or young with problems, they rip it right out and they get it out of there as soon as possible. So anything they're going to use, they're going to keep. And anything they don't want in there, they're going to get rid of. So they're crazy about cleaning. I wish I was as crazy about cleaning, but you kind of get the point. I'm kind of a little lazy here, but other than the beekeeping, I'm crazy with. But so this is the bottom box, upper, deep super, medium super, queen excluder. Now we talked a little bit about tops. We had mentioned two different tops in the discussion here this morning. We said a migratory top and a telescoping top. And the top we have here is a telescoping top. You have to use an inner cover when you have a telescoping top because the bees will attach comb from the frames to that top. And if you try to lift up that top, you're going to disrupt the bees all at once and make a big mess. And you're going to have bees all over you, mad, because you're Winnie the Pooh kicking over the tree and going in after the honey. So you need to have an inner cover to prevent that from happening. So it's two pieces of equipment that you have to have if you use this type of setup. So I use pallets, and I get a regular pallet off of Craigslist, and I get two of them, and I cut one apart, and I put the slats from the one, and I fill in all the gaps, and then I build a little stand off on the pallet to hold 4 hives. And I put this pallet wherever I'm going to keep bees. I have 8 sets of bees, 8 colonies of bees in Davie off Griffin Road, just west of the Turnpike, and so it's 2 pallets, 4 hives each. And then, so I can't use this type of lid because my boxes are flooded right up against each other on that pallet. So you have to use a migratory type lid, and I use nothing more than a piece of scrap plywood. I got tons of scrap plywood when Hurricane Irma came through. People were posting on Craigslist, hey, free plywood, whatever, come get it. So I took my truck and I loaded up with free plywood and I cut a bunch of tops. And I just reinforced the top. I use the same top and the bottom configuration. So I'll take a bottom board type with this brace, and to put it on top, I just put the bottom facing down, and to put on bottom, I put the top facing up. So it's the same piece of equipment. So if I grab 2, I have a top and a bottom, and I have all I need. So 2 boxes, queen excluder. I use queen excluders. I've tried not using queen excluders, but I've noticed for myself that when the queen gets up there and she starts laying eggs, typically she'll put drone in the top and eggs in the top, and then that will disrupt my honey production. And the way I fund my beekeeping habit is honey, and I want as much of it as possible for the cell. And so the queen excluder for me works good. And I use plastic ones just because they're cheaper. They have metal ones, which are really nice. And the metal ones, they get the honey. The queen excluder will get gummed up from time to time. The metal ones are nice because you can put them on the barbecue grill. Harry mentioned this trick. You have the barbecue grill, you throw the metal one in there and cook it for a little bit, take it off, it's brand new. So that's kind of a nice feature about a metal one compared to a plastic one. Other than that, I don't know much difference between the two. So there's a bottom board, and there's some differences with bottom boards. So there's differences with the top. Migratory cover is just a piece of plywood sitting on there. And that's okay because if they attach to it, you can turn it sideways and pop it up. You can scrape, just like they can attach to the inner cover, the telescoping cover. You can't get in there and scrape it apart to get it separated. You can take off the telescoping cover, and now you can start scraping in between the inner lid and the honey super and get rid of that wax, and you can get it out without disrupting the whole hive. With a flat piece of plywood, I can do the same thing. I can still get in there and scrape the honey super and get rid of the wax. The bees need proper spacing within the hive. If it's less than, I think it's, what is it, 3/8 of an inch, John, or is it less than that? 3/8 of an inch. If it's bigger than 3/8 of an inch, they'll put wax. If it's smaller than 3/8 of an inch, they'll propolis it, which is a glue that bees manufacture from the sap from trees and other things, and from glands in their body. And propolis supposedly has all kinds of great healing powers, but for me it's a pain in the butt because it glues everything together. But it's kind of good too. Somebody mentioned during the hurricane, all I did during the hurricane for my bees, I keep them on my roof at my house. And so I got them spread out because I got 40. I can't have them all at my house. I wish. I would definitely get a call. Chris would come see me. So I keep about 6 at my house. So I keep them on pallets at my house. I just ran a strap through the bottom of the pallet, top of the box, ratchet it down, left it alone. Also, if the hurricane's coming, you know it's hurricane season, don't be busting into your hives every week during hurricane season. The propolis will help hold the hive together. That way, at least if it blows off and goes through your neighbor's house, it'll be one box. You can go get it. It won't be scattered bees everywhere and a big problem. It's already, I didn't have any issues with any of my hives. I was expecting to lose my roof, so I wasn't really worried about the bees. And the roof. They're on the roof. If the roof goes, the bees go. I lose my roof. What am I going to do? But I did lose a fence that's directly next to my beehives, and all my neighbors people were walking on the sidewalk, and it's crazy because there's a fence on the sidewalk, and it's full of nails sticking up. And they're walking, stepping on the fence, like, dude, that fence is full of nails, whatever. But then I told them, oh, there's a beehive. Oh, okay. Okay. Go around. Back to the equipment, the bottom can be a little different. It can be a screen bottom, and that helps promote, it's really not for temperature control for the hive. Some people say, oh yeah, it's good for that because it keeps it ventilated. It might help the honey dehydrate a little faster, maybe if it's dry out, but if it's wet out, it's going to have the opposite effect. But the screen bottom is more for pest control of that varroa mite. Sometimes you have good bees that are really clean freaks, and if they feel something on, they're going to get it off, and they're going to call in their sisters, and they're all going to get it off, and it's going to fall. And if they knock it off, and you have a solid bottom board, the mite's just going to crawl right back up into the hive. If you have screen, there's a better chance that it's going to fall out of the hive, and it won't be a problem for your particular bees. So that's why the screen bottom is such a good feature to have. Myself, I don't use it because I'm cheap, and I use pallets. And to put a screen in a pallet, it's no longer a pallet. You can't lift it up with a forklift because the structure is gone. So I don't use that. But it's a good idea. This little piece here it has 2 different settings or 3 different settings. You can take it out of the way, and you got wide open entrance. This is to protect your hive from robbing. From robbing. Robbing is where you have a weak hive and a strong hive, and the strong hive goes in and kills other bees and gets to the honey and takes it out and takes it back to their hive. And then they do that waggle thing and say, hey, it's free over there. They all come over there. And pretty soon you got a weak hive that's a dead hive. So you can put this entrance reducer on here. And it's got 2 different sizes. This is the long for the bigger size, about 4 inches, 5 inches. And then it's got one that's an inch to kind of really slow things down. So you can control how many bees are allowed in and out. Of course, wide open entrance is great because more bees bringing back honey, wide open entrance is bad because rotting in a situation. It's just what they'll do. They go for free food, you know. You can't pass up a buffet. Top, upper, feet. I think that's all the equipment. The other thing is gloves, the protective equipment. You need this. Like John said, South Florida. I heard people, North Florida, when they go out there, they got t-shirts on, they got gloves. I heard his story about the guy picking up them out of a garbage can. They won't do that today. They won't do that today. But you can get into it pretty cheap. You can find the gloves online, beekeeping gloves. I think I just bought 2 replacement pairs. They're like $6 for a pair. And they're goat skin, and they have long sleeves like this. The long sleeves are good because if you have short sleeves, you're gonna find your jacket ends about here and your gloves end about here, and you get a nice little ring tattooed from bee stings along your wrist, and that's kind of a painful spot to have bee stings. I don't know of an unpainful spot to have a bee sting, so
Yeah, really.
it's everywhere. It still hurts. It's been 3 years. I've been stung a lot. It still hurts. I don't try to keep Africanized bees, but sometimes I'll catch a swarm, and I'll try to see how those bees are going to be when they get big. See, the problem is with Africanized bees, when they're small or they're a swarm, they're not defensive. They're just like regular European bees. They're great. They have really good characteristics about them. Like you said, they don't have disease. They grow really fast. They're really defensive. They get lots of honey. So it's all plus, plus, plus. But the fact that they have killed people in the state is a big minus for them. So they don't want to promote that.
If you get stung, do you keep on doing what you're doing?
I do. I have to. If I drop it now, so it's like, oh, they're getting me.
Yeah.
I have a big. Now I have a bigger mess that I'm leaving behind. I have to maintain control. I got to take care of it. So I got my. If I pull down my pants, I'm not going to. You're okay. I have work pants and they have wide open pockets and there's white cotton inside. And the bees figured that out. And they went in there. And what I'm going to say, I have aggressive hive up on my roof, and I'm going to change out the queen. I'm going to find her. I'm going to pinch her to death, and I'm going to throw her away. And I'm going to go in there for the next 2 weeks and cut out any kind of queen cells so they ain't going to be from her. And I'm going to put in a new queen that's got to be European queen from where I'm buying it, so it'll be more docile hive. It's just gotten out of hand where I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to. So if I don't want to mess with it, I don't want my neighbors to have to deal with it.
Right.
That's really where it's at, because I can ruin it for all the beekeepers. If I keep aggressive hives at my house and they sting all my neighbors, what are all my neighbors going to know about bees? Oh, the bees are jerks. They're sting everybody. We don't want them. So the laws might change about how beekeeping is. Right now, if you follow the rules, you keep it nice, you keep the bees nice, everybody's happy.
So when you get stung, you just say ouch and you keep on doing
Yeah, it hurts for about 20 minutes. Yeah. And then it's better than it used to be. I used to get stung and my hand would blow up real big and it would hurt for 2 days. Now, since it's been 3 years, I get stung, it's just ouch for 5 or 10 minutes and that's all I get. I don't get swelling up anymore. I don't even care anymore. I don't even, because it's a hat, because they sting through the glove sometimes. So if I'm getting stung by mean bees, in the middle of that, I'm not going to pull off a glove. They're going to get, that stinger only pumps for about 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and half the time when you grab it, pull it out, you might end up squeezing more poison in. So the best thing to do with the stinger is take like a business card or a driver's license, if you got time or you care, pull it out with that. Don't grab it and squeeze it. Take it out, you actually squirt the poison in, which is what you're trying to avoid. Yeah, the venom. Sorry. Venom. The stuff that hurts. The stuff that hurts. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to scare people. But you mess with bees, you're going to get stung. So, sorry. But it's not all the time. I messed with them this morning. I didn't get one sting. I use smoke. I use equipment.
I just wanted to say the reason why you're able to continue is because you have that smoker going.
Yes.
So the pheromone that bee that gave up her life to sting you
Yes.
is telling all the other bees to go get her.
Yes.
So you go ahead and smoke it, and then they'll leave you alone.
That's why I'm changing out that hive, because those bees don't care. African bees, you don't want them. They do not stop. They do not care. A European hive, you might get stung twice. That's it. Africanized colony, it could be 20, 30 times. And it just keeps coming. So you don't want them.
I think it's really important. Everybody talks about the Africanized bees. If you are managing your hive, it's not likely that you're going to have that problem.
Right.
But if you do end up starting and getting your own hive, and you do end up with a problem, what you do is you pick up the phone and you talk to some folks with the Bee Association or your mentors, and they will come help you and change that and fix that. Okay, so it's not, everybody talks about, oh,
not the end of the world.
bees, if I have a beehive that might go after. It doesn't really happen like that. And if you are in a situation where you think it's more difficult than it is, you call for help, and that's what you do. I had a truly Africanized hive where the bees swarmed and would chase you for a mile down the street. We had to euthanize that hive. We couldn't even move it somewhere. I had help from people who knew what they were doing. If you are not a beekeeper and you end up with a situation, the community of beekeepers is really
We'll help you fix it.
they have your back and they'll help you fix it. So don't worry.
We have support.
So don't worry. And when you hear about all the diseases and everything else, really don't worry.
The first
Learn
year.
to manage your bees and have fun with them. And any problems that come up, you'll have a lot of help.
And I only
That's
have
what
these
I wanted to
problems probably because I have 40 hives. So the more you have, the more you're going to see. Keeping 2 hives, the chance of you having an Africanized hive, unless you go out and catch them out of a water meter box, pretty low. Pretty high if you go get them out of the water meter box. So you like that, Africanized bees.
One thing, on a good note is, beekeepers do not have arthritis.
Yeah.
We get stung with bees and it's anti-arthritic. And we don't have allergies because you eat the honey, you have the pollen, and it keeps you anti-allergic.
It actually feels good a couple days later,
Oh yeah.
but I don't know if that has to do with it.
But you always
I don't know.
keep Benadryl close.
Yeah. And if you ever have a problem breathing, call 911. Get emergency help. 'Cause that's the indicator.
You
that
do
it's a
learn,
big deal.
Charlie. You do learn early on whether you're allergic to bees.
Yeah.
You do learn that real quick.
So you want to protect your face
Yeah, right.
because the bees tune in to the breath and they like the eyes. So if you protect your face, you could enter your hive pretty much with this. Early on, I used to use no gloves, but now I know which hive is difficult, and I don't ever go gloveless because I just don't want to risk it. Because I want to be able to keep working the hive. So if I have gloves on and they notice, oh wow, they're really stinging me today, it's no big deal because I see it on the gloves. They sting and they try to fly away, it looks like a little kite trying to get away. But those bees are going to die. It stung me. They don't want to sting you because that's the end of their life. Within a day, they're going to die quick. So a veil is minimum. So minimum equipment, veil, a long sleeve shirt, pair of jeans, make sure your shirt's tucked in. If you want to go for a jacket, it's a good idea. When I first started, I bought the full onesie. I don't know what it's called, but it's a full outfit. It's too hot. The full outfit's too hot. Blue jeans, loose fitting blue jeans. If they're tight, they'll get right through there. Work pants, no good. The cotton work pants, they get right through there. Get right in there. Wear long socks is a good idea. So when you see this, I get lit up sometimes because I drop them. Don't mess with them at night. You're asking for it because they do a lot of crawling at night. They don't really fly because they need the sun for navigation. You can actually knock bees out of your hive by crawling. Where are they going to go? Right up your legs. It's better to, you know it's sweat when it's going down. You know it's bees when they're coming up. So you want to get them while they're low. So you end up taking one of your shit in the thigh. But it's fun. I really enjoy it. It's a good time. It doesn't cost anything. If you're able to sell your honey, you're able to get it back. And even giving honey to people and helping people out is very rewarding. This gentleman, Eli, just came to the meeting the other night. He said he got a flow hive, and I have a flow hive. I got interested in that. That was early on. And I offered to give them bees. I said, hey, just call me, man. I'll hook you up, give you bees. I want to make sure they're not mean. Wait till they're nice and big. When I get those European queens, we'll do a split on that. And that's the only weight I want to do to make sure. I don't want to start you off with mean bees. It's no good. Is there any questions? Hopefully I can answer. No. Sure. You can raise it. You can raise it. You can put it on a bench like that. You can work it. Yeah. The height is not. It's actually like you said, it's better for your back to be high.
Yeah, exactly.
The only time, the reason they're low is just because they'll put it on a pallet, and the pallet's low. Some places you can't put it low because it might have a tendency to flood. So when it floods where you are, you want it high. They lost a lot of beehives in the hurricane from flooding. So on the West Coast, they're recovering now from that. But they had them high already, but storm surge messed them up. So flooding is the problem. I do, yeah, I have a hive tool. I do. The one I use is just a basic Home Depot paint scraper. It's the 7-in-1 Home Depot scraper. It's more expensive than a real hive tool, but it's available to me easily. I can go to any Home Depot and get it. But Home Depot doesn't stock this. You know, this is a hive tool that has a scraper on it, so that if I have a problem with my inner lid attached to the frame, I can sneak in there and scrape that comb and break it loose and open it up. It has a scraper on top, so if you open up the box and the bees have built burr comb on top of the frame, before you remove it, you can drag it with this and scrape the top of the frame. Kind of like this, clean it off. I recommend if you're going to do any kind of cleaning on your frames, do that at the end of your inspection, because that kind of riles up the bees. Doing all this, and they're like, oh, what is going on, you know? So save that for last. Go in there. In the inspection process, well, here's another type of more natural type of foundation to help speed things along. It's wax. It's made from real beeswax, and it's pressed into the shape of that smaller worker bee, and you attach this to that wood frame. Some people like to use this more natural method, but commercial people, they don't like this because it gets jostled around, it breaks. Delicate. It's delicate. It's a little pricey. The bees seem to like it better, so if you want faster bees growing in your hive, this might be a good thing. You can also put wax on the plastic. You need to. You need to. It comes with a little spray. If I pass it around, it's a little sticky, but after a little bit of time, it kind of goes away, or the wax moths get at it and take it away, or you want to melt some wax on this just to kind of speed things up, the process. Where you're going to get wax from a beekeeper, that's the one good use of wax, other than making a candle that I've seen. People are like, oh, you got lots of wax, what do you do? I don't know. I can't find nothing to do with it. Lubricated zipper. This is the beeswax. You know, I don't have that many zippers. Shit. I harvested, see, I'm a loony, because I'm sharing with you guys. I bought 4 55-gallon drums full of wax cappings for $20. Because I'm an idiot. So I did 2 things with that. I let my bees eat at it, because there was honey in there too. So I fed my bees in the winter with that, and I also melted that wax and rendered it, and I was able to get 200 pounds of wax. It's a lot of wax. I mean, this is maybe 1 pound. So 200 of these from those 4 barrels. It's a lot. What are you gonna do with it? I was able to sell it to another commercial beekeeper, so he coats his frames. That's how I learned to do that, by selling it. He's like, oh, you're doing wax? I'll buy some. What are you doing with it? Oh, I'm putting it on my frames. And I'm like, well, I won't sell you all of it. I'll sell you what I can. So this is the wax. The best product for me is for the hive. So the maintenance part, you pull out frames and we look at them and make sure that there's eggs. If you see eggs, you don't have to find the queen. If there's eggs, you had a queen in the last 3 days, which is great. She's still there. Next time you check it, it has eggs. Don't look for the queen. Don't rip it all apart. When they do an inspection, there's a guy that came to the bee meeting. He inspected 300 hives that same day, and he pulls 2 or 3 frames from every box. And he looks down the box, looks at the most population. Yeah, the brood. You got to go in the brood, because that's where the disease is. It's all brood associated problems. So you're looking at the brood.
The beetles too?
Beetles are there too. Yeah. So there's a what's that zipper at? I saw it carried it over here. There's a nice way to get rid of beetles using a cloth, paper towel, Swiffer, the one without the chemicals. Put little pieces of it in your brood box, and the bees will nibble at it and rip it all up, and it will be like a SOS pad. And the beetles will go in it, and their legs will get trapped, and they're just stuck. So it's just a mechanical way to catch beetles. You take that out, you burn it, you're good to go. You know? You can just throw it in the trash if you want. But you're going to put that in your brood, not your honey, because the beetles are after the pollen, and the pollen is in the brood. That's what they're after. Sorry. Any more questions? No more questions? You're good.
Thank you.
No problem.